Hi, everybody. It's Dee Dee. Yes, I'm back again. Man, I've been on here a lot more often lately. I don't know exactly why, except I like you people. I'm just being funny. I mean, I do love like you and everything, but um, I don't like that term "you people." It sounds very demeaning, and I don't mean it to sound that way at all. But something keeps me coming back. I have ideas and stuff that I want to talk about, and so I keep coming back and talking about them, I guess. Anyway, today I want to talk about love languages. Some of you know what they are, some of you don't. The idea of love languages comes from Gary Chapman's book, and it depicts basically that we all have different styles of how we feel valued and loved by somebody. I'm going to tell a very quick, interesting story. So, for 8 years, my husband and I have been together, married for like almost 7. And for a long time, we have not communicated well as to which our love languages were. I always thought, and he always thought, his love language was positive affirmations, which means, being told, I'm proud of you, I admire you, I'm amazed by you, I love you, you're handsome, whatever, that kind of thing. Well, so for those 8 years, I've been doing that for him, telling him all those positive things about himself or what I think of him. And it just seemed like every time I would tell him stuff, like months would go by, and then a little while later he'd come to me and say, you don't ever, value anything I do. You don't ever tell me you're proud of me. You don't esteem me, you don't respect me. And we couldn't figure out why. So we were in therapy yesterday, and let me say it got very heated, and I'm not going to get into details because it's not right to do that. But it ended up with me yelling and him crying. Not like sobbing crying, but just really being emotional. It was a pretty intense moment there for both of us. And nothing really got accomplished. I mean, at that moment, I'm sure things got accomplished because of that emoting and expressing that went on. What? Excuse me a minute.
Sorry. There was only one pan I could find that was clean, and I couldn't find the other thing. But I found this metal, like little stand thing, and I just put your burger on top of that and with on the pan with mine.
That will work. Thank you.
So even if your burger dripped for whatever reason, but I don't think it will because it's a vegetable burger,
Yeah.
at least my turkey burger stuff won't get mixed with you.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm gonna go out there and watch my shit.
That is fine. So, yeah, what it did was it kind of opened up the communication between us, I think you might say. So we got back home, and my husband still wanted to talk, and I did not. I was just too emotionally charged, and I was in flight mode at that point. I just wanted to end things, get by myself, get away from the tense feelings I was having, the feeling of kind of being overwhelmed and trapped, sort of, I guess. I don't do well with confrontation, excuse me, and I don't do well with intense negativity. So when I get in those situations, I just want to run and get out of them so I can feel relief. So he still wanted to talk, and I'm like, no, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. We did talk a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I don't want to say anything else. Let's just end it. You go do what you want to do in your room, and I'll be out here doing what I want to do. And then, maybe we can talk later or whatever. Well, he eventually, caught on, I guess, and he went to the back room here where I'm sitting right now. And we kind of waited a few minutes and whatever. And then I went here to the back room, and he said, honey, can I talk to you? And I said, yeah, it's fine. He said, what if, because of my autism or my neurodiversity, words of affirmation was never my language, my love language? I said, interesting. So we kind of sat and talked a little bit about that. And we realized that we probably had him wrong for the love language all along. So we took the love language test, and I really don't like the way this test is set up online. I think the test in the book was much better. I think it got more into details and was better able to decipher the difference between the 5 love languages. But we took the test anyway, and it turned out for sure that words of affirmation, although they're important in a relationship anyways, to tell people how you love them and respect them and honor them, that was not his main, you know, highest love language of all that makes him feel fulfilled and valued and respected and esteemed and worthy and all that good stuff. What his love language is quality time. Which after I started thinking about it, praying about it, and thinking about it some more, everything in our relationship points to the fact that he is always trying to establish having time with me. Even when I have threatened, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go find somebody else. I'm done. The reason he clung to me like he did is because he was losing that quality time with me. And that's what he was fearing was going to happen. Now I get it. It makes it so much easier to relate to someone when you understand what fulfills them from their perspective, their point of view, and their heart needs. So, I just want to go over briefly what the love languages are. And you can maybe talk to your loved one, your friend, your partner, whoever, and find out maybe if you're banging heads because you've been speaking the wrong love language to them. Because just because you have something that makes you feel fulfilled, if you try to use that with somebody else and that's not their love language, you're going to find yourself ripping your hair out. Because if somebody's love language is not, like, for instance, being given gifts and you just smother them with gifts, but you don't hug them, kiss them, hold their hand, do the affection type stuff, and that's their love language, well, you're going to find out very quickly that your relationship's going to kind of come to a standstill to where you can't figure out why this person always feels like you don't do enough for them. It's really true. I never experienced that before till this marriage, literally, not to this extent, to where it literally was like, it was an aha moment that, oh my gosh, all these years, 8 years, I've been doing the wrong love language for you. And that's why we have been just really miserable. He's been feeling very unfulfilled. I've been feeling like I give, 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 and it's never accepted. He doesn't really receive it. It doesn't seem to do any good. Duh. So now that we know what to do, we're working very hard to make sure we have that quality time. I have some other things I want to share with you if I can get Momo off of the cards that I made. Besides just the regular love language, my husband is neurodivergent, or also known as high functioning autistic or just autistic. So he's on the spectrum, as they say. And there is also what's called a neurodivergent love language thing. So we were kind of reading that, and they have a few other different types of words for the neurodivergent one, but it's kind of similar. So we'll talk about the regular love languages first, and then I'll share with you about the neurodivergent love languages. So let's talk about what the 5 love languages are and how they kind of work and how you can help somebody by speaking to them in that language if you discovered that is what their language is. And I will post the love language test or quiz or whatever on the bottom of this video in the comment section so you can see, or in the description section, whichever. Probably the description section. Okay, so first of all, words of affirmation. What is that? It's encouraging somebody, telling them you're proud of them, telling them you appreciate them, acknowledging the things that they do and how they are and personality traits that you like about them. That's words of affirmation. So what you want to do for words of affirmation is that's when those are the people that like to get a surprising text on the phone. Like, thinking about you, can't wait to see you again, so proud to be your wife or your girlfriend or whatever. Also sending them a card, like a greeting card in the mail that they're not expecting. That's always appreciated. But it's got to have words that affirm them. So on the card, it might say, you're so special to me. I don't know what I would do without you. You complete me. You make my life wonderful, whatever, that kind of thing. What they don't like, people that their love language is words of affirmation, is when they're not recognized or appreciated, when you forget their birthday, or and that's also, that goes with quality time as well. But words, they have to hear it and see it constantly. Words telling them that they're great and you appreciate them. That's words of affirmation. Physical touch is the next one. Physical touch is exactly what it says. Some people just really like being massaged. They like having hand massages, foot massages, shoulder massages, kisses, hugs, cuddles, all of that. It's nonverbal body language use and touch and just contact, just physically contacting. They like if you snuggle up against them, or if you bump them as you're walking by, or you rub their shoulder, give them a pat on the back. That's somebody whose love language is physical touch. What they can't handle is if you ignore them, you don't touch them, you don't hug them, you don't pat them on the back, you don't rub their shoulders, you don't shake their hand, hold their hand, that sort of thing. They don't like that. Or if you're abusive, apparently, that's another extreme form of neglect and not taking care of this love language. The next thing is, and I'll read your comments if you're making any. I don't know if you are, because I'm not looking at that screen. I'm looking at the love language examples. Receiving gifts. I'll feed you in a minute, Nini. Don't scratch me. Receiving gifts. So basically, being thoughtful to somebody and putting them first and buying them things when you're out, things that you know they'll enjoy, something along the lines of their interests. If they're a gamer, you buy them some video games or maybe Pokemon cards or something like that. They really appreciate that. Telling them that you're very thankful and you were thinking of the fact that they like such and such. So you bought them this. They like that. Now, what they don't like and what really starves their love language is that you might give them a gift, but you give it grudgingly. Like, yeah, I bought you something because I remembered it was your birthday. And you probably get mad if I didn't give you something. That's obviously not being loving with your gift giving. Forgetting their birthday, forgetting special things that are important to them. Maybe a certain holiday they celebrate. Maybe it's a faith thing that they celebrate and you don't honor that. That will really hit their heart in a bad way. Quality time. Quality time means spending uninterrupted, um, individual time with them one on one without being on your phone, without looking at the computer, without talking to Aunt Myrtle on the phone, whatever. Just one on one time with them is very important. This is Matthew's love language and a little bit of mine as well. You make those special times when you're together. Maybe you're playing games, playing cards, like we like to do that, watching movies together, taking walks, going to the park, having picnics, quality time, things they enjoy, but spending that time with them. What they don't like is when you are distracted when you're supposed to be together and you're putting other people into that quality time with them. You invite somebody over during that time, or like I said, you're on the phone with somebody, you let this phone call interrupt that time. They don't like that. But clearly, that quality time is about you and him, or you and her, the significant other, and that's important to them. The last one is acts of service. This means that you're helping them. They like if you work on projects with them or you do a chore for them that they're too tired to do. They appreciate that. You make them breakfast in bed. You shine their shoes for them, or you do something for them that's meaningful. Maybe something that they forgot to do, you pick up the slack and you do it for them. You go pick up something at the store that they forgot to get without throwing it in their face. Oh, I got this because you're too stupid to remember to get it. Yeah, that's not going to work. So the biggest thing that bothers somebody whose love language is acts of service is that you don't follow through on things that you need to do. Like if you tell them you're going to do something like, okay, fix the lawnmower or whatever, because you need to mow the lawn, and you don't fix it, then that's going to really bother them. If you're going to do something like an act of service for them, make sure you follow through. If you tell them you're going to do it, or if you're expected to do it, make sure you do it. Okay. Oh, hey, Mommy Mars. Yeah, cool. Yeah, cook dinner. Awesome. So now let's talk a little bit about the neurodivergent love language, because I didn't know there was such a thing till today. And it's very fascinating, actually. This is going to help my husband and I to communicate a lot more clearer, which it took us 8 years to figure all this out. But that's okay. We finally figured it out, and I'm glad to know it finally, because this is going to really help a lot with our communication level. So I made these cards up for him, but I'll talk more about the cards in a minute. So with the neurodivergent love language, first of all, neurodivergence means that people's brains work differently than what's called the neurotypical brain. Autistic people, people with ADHD, people with OCD. These people are considered neurodivergent. Apparently, I did not know ADHD and OCD and other things like that are considered a form of neurodivergence, but it makes sense because neuro, the brain, divergent means it differs. It's a different path. It's like this is neurotypical, this is neurodivergent. That's the way I picture it if I have to make kind of a visual. So here are some of the, well, 5 of the love languages for the neurodivergent. The first thing is info dumping. What is info dumping? Info dumping means literally what it sounds like. The need to just literally tell you every single detail of anything they are interested in, anything that has piqued their curiosity, come across their path, or influenced them in some way, and just talking nonstop ad nauseum. Now, I have met people that info dump, and I have to admit, I don't enjoy being info dumped on. My daughter is an info dumper, and she's ADHD. So that would explain why that is the case. Those of you that have seen Amber online have heard her talk, 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 talk. That's just Amber. And I do think she's an info dumper. And I've learned how to basically distract myself a lot of times when she's info dumping. And I try my hardest to listen, but sometimes my ears and my brain just gets tired. And sometimes I'll out and out say, hey, have you told me everything you want to tell me? Because I really need to go. I'm getting tired. I need to go do some other things. And she understands. So yes, she is an info dumper. Why that is, I'm not sure. If it is because she's ADHD, I don't know. It probably is though. So info dumping, it's a hard one, but yes, a lot of people that are on the spectrum like to talk, talk, talk. I've actually seen some people on here on YouTube that are on the spectrum that like to talk, talk, talk. And sometimes they're not very nice about it either. But that doesn't mean every info dumper is going to be nasty. It just means some of them have a lot of intense emotions that they like to get out, I guess. Sometimes at you if you're the target. Okay, the next thing is called parallel play. What parallel play means is you're sitting in the same room doing either two different things, or maybe you're side by side doing the same thing. What do I mean by that? So, Matthew and I have done this for quite a while now. Actually, we've done it on and off since we were married. He'll sit in the room and he'll be gaming, or, with his little, whatever you call that thing. I don't want to say remote. What's it called? Um, his system. There's a word for it. Oh, controller. There we go. The controller. It has the little, buttons and things on it that make his game move and whatever. So he'll sit there and do that, and he'll be listening to a movie on the side or watching a movie on the side. And I'll be over here on my computer doing some research, or maybe making up some recipe cards, which I still have yet to do tonight. Or maybe I'll go in the other room and do some exercising and stuff nearby. But the point is, he knows I'm there and I'm in the vicinity, although usually he prefers that I'm in the room if he's in that parallel play mode, whatever. But we're basically doing parallel things in the same room, but not together, if that makes sense. Sometimes, like I said, it can be doing the same thing. Like if he was on his computer looking something up and I was on mine. We did that also when we took the love language test. He was on his computer taking it. I was on my computer taking it. And we were sharing our results with each other. That's also parallel play. So that's another neurodivergent love language. Okay, the other thing is called penguin pebbling. Now, what does that mean? It's kind of weird terminology, but it's kind of interesting at the same time. Penguin pebbling is based on the fact that penguins apparently, when they like another penguin or they want to connect with them, they will bring them pebbles. They'll like push it over to them, I guess, or something, or drop it in front of them. I'm not exactly sure how that all works, but it's like, here, I like you. Here's a special pebble. They want to share something that's important to them. They want to bring it over to the other person, or penguin in this case, and just share it with them. It's called pebbling. And people that are neurodivergent a lot of times want to connect with people but don't know how. So maybe they'll pebble, maybe they'll give you a gift or something, or tell you something that's important or special to them. That's penguin pebbling. You can look more up on this. I will definitely post all of this information and links so you can check it out. Maybe you know somebody that's on the spectrum and this sounds interesting to you and it'll help you relate to them and communicate with them better. Definitely going to help me. I'm really thankful that I found this. Too bad it took me 8 years, but hey, it's never too late, you know. Okay, the next love language of the neurodivergent is support swapping. It's exactly what it sounds like. Say that Matthew needed me to help him find something on the internet. So I get on his computer and help him find it. That's support swapping. And in turn, he does something for me, maybe figures out a math problem for me or a money issue or whatever, because he's great with numbers. I'm not. So I might help him understand something that he's researching. He then expects to help me as well. It's kind of tit for tat, I guess is what they call it. You know, you give to me, I give to you, we share with each other, we help each other. Yeah, kind of like a friendship type thing. And let's see what the last one is called. It's a rather interesting name. I'm trying to think of how to say it the way they said it on the website. Something about help me put my soul back into my body. Okay, many of you will be very familiar with this. Have you heard of weighted blankets? The reason for weighted blankets and why they work with somebody that is on the spectrum is because it literally feels like the pressure is helping them kind of regroup with their soul. That's why it says help me push my soul back into my body. The weight helps them feel secure. It helps them feel safe. It helps them feel more in existence, I guess, just more grounded. I don't know how to explain it, but after a while of using a weighted blanket, many times with somebody on the spectrum, they can use less and less weight to feel that security and that grounding, which I found with me. I was using that weighted blanket for a while. You guys know that because I was talking about how I love the weighted blanket. I don't use it anymore because I got to the point where it was so comforting that I no longer needed it. I know that sounds weird, but it's true. I guess I needed to feel that kind of hugging sensation for a while, that closeness. And after a while it was too much. It was like, okay, yeah, I'm not this is overwhelming to me. It's too extra and I need to stop. And so I don't use it anymore. Okay. And I use a regular blanket now. So I made up some cards to help Matthew out because a lot of times what we found out is he doesn't always know how to communicate in words what he needs. It's uncomfortable for him. It's not something that comes naturally to him. And a lot of times with people on the spectrum, they don't know how to communicate. So we have little helpers. So there's something called an emotional bid. I know that's backwards. Sorry about that, but you know how it is on the internet. Things look backwards like a mirror image. But it says emotional bid, and what an emotional bid means, I want to connect with you in some way. So right now, I am feeling a need for blank from you. And I'm going to make separate cards. But on the bottom of this, I put info dump, parallel play, support swap, pebble, hug, so that he can tell me this is what I need from you right now. I need to dump stuff on you. I need to talk. I need to just pour it out, get it off my chest, tell you about a dream I had, tell you about this great idea, tell you that these, rapid thoughts that are going through my head, what they are. Or I need to get together with you. I need you in the room with me. I'm going to play my game. You do your thing. I just need you here. I need you present. If he says he wants to parallel play, that's what that will mean. Or, naturally the support swap thing comes throughout the day. Honey, I'm stuck on this on the computer. Can you help me? And then he might need something from me. Pebbling, he likes to give me gifts. Today he bought me Ferrero Rocher chocolates at the store, and just in a heart shape. It's pretty sweet. I love Ferrero Rocher. They're garbage as far as what's in them, but they taste delicious. So he got me those. So he penguin pebbled me today. Um, and I might penguin pebble him with a special treat after dessert or after dinner, or in the day or something. Or I might bring him a special tea drink or something, or a smoothie. What? Huh?
Your burger,
Yeah.
it fell apart.
Okay, it probably would.
So it's like on the side of the pan.
That's fine. Hi, Sonny. Good to see you. And then I might or he might give me or need a hug. So he'll say, right now I'm feeling a need for a hug from you. And oh, okay, that makes sense, Sonny. That's cool. It's good to see you. Um he might say, hey, I need a hug, or he will actually come out, which this always made me like confused, and I get it now. In the morning when he wakes up, he'll say, here, give me a hug so I can go back to bed. When he first started doing that, I was like, huh? A hug so you can leave and go back to bed? That doesn't make logical sense. Now it does. But all these years when he would say that, it was just strange. And it was like, why would he say, give me a hug? Not many men will say, here, give me a hug. They just take a hug. They'll just walk up to you and hug you, you know. But he will literally communicate, here, give me a hug so I can go back to bed. So he's thinking through his actions, is what he's doing. And neurodivergent people often do that. They think out loud, which is one reason I believe I might be on the spectrum as well, because I think out loud all the time. But I'm also ADD, so that could also explain it. I don't know. I haven't gotten tested again, but I really would like to know if I'm on the spectrum or not. Would not surprise me one bit. Wouldn't bother me either. I'm a special case. I know that. I like me. I enjoy me. I'm goofy and I'm totally divergent. I'm always doing something different. I go from belly dancing to talking about love languages to talking about narcissism. I'm never bored. I'm always active doing something and interested in something, and I like me that way. I don't ever feel like I need someone else to provide, stimuli for me. Yes, I like feedback, definitely. I like people to talk to me when I'm in chat rooms, of course. But I'm talking about, I don't need someone to entertain me or say, okay, we need to do this now, or you should do that. I don't need that. I'm very self motivated. I love that about me. Okay, anyway, the other card I made was spin time. You might wonder what spin time means. So did I. I had no idea what spin time meant. I thought maybe it was stimming, like people that are on the spectrum often will go like this with their hands, or they'll roll their eyes in their head, or they'll rock back and forth or sideways like that, or they'll shake their hands like this. This is typical of stimming. They do this handshaking thing, especially children, or they'll flap like their whole arm. I thought that was what spinning was, but no, that's called stimming, STIM. Spinning stands for special interests, which I believe there was somebody that coined all these phrases, of course, that obviously was on the spectrum or knew somebody that was. So, what spinning would be is when the person that is neurodivergent wants to go about doing their special interest. With my husband, that happens to be gaming or movies or TV. For me, my special interest is YouTube, TikTok, um, dancing, singing, playing piano, playing guitar, visiting other chat rooms, going to work and doing fun things there. I don't know. I have lots of special interests. But for somebody on the autism spectrum, that special interest becomes almost an obsession, and they compare it to being in love. That's another thing I just learned today. I did not know that. So when you try to say to the autistic person, you can't do that, or you do that too much. Why do you constantly have to play those video games? Why are you constantly collecting stuff? They're very upset about that because that is their special interest. That's something that drives them. They can't help that. That's something that their brain tells them you have to do this. It's like an OCD person. Somebody with obsessive compulsive disorder has to count often. And I'm talking about the disorder, not the personality disorder. There's two different disorders, believe it or not. But OCD, not OCPD, they have to do repetitive things a lot of times, or they have to have the same amount of something. Like my stepdad had to line up mini cheeseburgers in rows of the same exact number before he would let us even touch them to eat them when we went to McDonald's. So yeah, there's that kind of obsessive tendency in the autism spectrum disorder. So yeah, the people that are on the spectrum like to have that special interest, but they need to have the special interest. It becomes very crucial to them to engage in that interest, sometimes for hours and hours at a time, sometimes well into the wee hours of the morning, which thankfully my husband's been doing a lot better with lately. he actually comes to bed at fairly a decent hour. It used to be where he'd be up. He just, when he had his job, he would come home from work, he'd sit on his gaming thing all night, well into like 3 o'clock in the morning, up at night gaming and watching movies and whatever. Thankfully, he's a little better with that now. But so his thing is gaming, watching TV. Sometimes he'll want to build things. He gets this desire to paint or to fix something or to build something, or like he made the cat thing out there for the cats to run on. He's made little bridges for the cats at times. We both built that catio out there that we tore down eventually because it rotted and it was just a hot mess. But I remember when we were building that, we were fighting a lot. Now I get why we were, because that was probably one of his special interests, and I was kind of an intruder on what he wanted to do with it. And yeah, so we kind of bumped heads a lot on that one. But yeah, that is what spin time is, a special interest. So I made him that card that says, right now I feel like I need to, and he can just tell me what he feels like he needs to do. This will help him also gain mastery over what his thoughts are and what he wants to do, because he has a hard time telling me what's, I say, what's on your mind? What are you thinking about? He'll say nothing and just shrug his shoulders. And some people think, well, that's just a man thing. It's a male thing. Not necessarily, not when you're married to somebody that's neurodivergent. They literally have trouble conveying what is on their mind, what they want to do, what they need from you. And that's the biggest thing I want Matthew to know, because he didn't know. For all these years, he didn't know it was okay to come to me and say, hey, right now I'm feeling like I just want you here with me. I don't want to talk. I just want you to sit here and do your thing while I do my thing. And it's okay. That's what I need right now. Or I need a hug, or I need you to hold me, or I need some gentle pressure on my back, or whatever. I think it's so important. I think these love languages and the neurodivergent love languages are probably going to radically change some relationships. So I hope everybody that watches this video gets something really big out of this, because that was my purpose for coming on. I want to be really putting out not just quality content, but content that can change lives and relationships and get you to think a different way about things, and maybe try some new things and see how it works for you. Because that's what I'm doing. I haven't arrived with, knowing everything about everything. It's funny how much I thought I knew till I married somebody on the spectrum, and didn't even know he was on the spectrum till a couple years into our marriage. And now that I do, I really had to learn to not take things personally, be rather sacrificial in many ways, and at the same time, not belittle him for who he is, not downplay his struggles, but also be as encouraging as I can that he keeps on seeking different ways of relating to the world too. So I I guess some people would say it's harder when the person is high functioning than when they're actually full autistic. Because when somebody's fully autistic, you can see that. They look like they're struggling and they have differences in their facial characteristics or their eyes or whatever. And you can tell. And it evokes a certain amount of compassion towards you, especially if it's a child. When it's a grown man or a grown woman, that you're comparing them to a typical neurotypical person, it can be very frustrating, because you're like, this stuff comes naturally to somebody that's neurotypical. Why do you have to come and ask me for a hug? Why can't you just come and hug me? Or why do I have to tell you I need this from you? Why can't you just assume it? Somebody that's neurodivergent, or I'm sorry, neurotypical, will just get up in the morning and help you clean the house. Someone that is neurodivergent won't assume that the house needs to be cleaned. They don't care. It's like, and it's not to be selfish. It just doesn't, it's not on their radar, is the way they say it. It's not on their radar. What's on their radar is, I wonder how I can equip my character that I built on my game, or I wonder how to fix that fan I was working on. That's their spin thing. And that's what is on their mind. So it's just very different being married to somebody on the spectrum. It's different having a friend that's on the spectrum. You just learn different ways of relating, but it's okay, because everybody's brain works differently and everybody has different interests. And different ways of interacting and stuff and perceiving things. So anyway, I hope that helped somebody. Does anybody have any questions? I know there's not that many people here, but if you have any questions, I will answer them the best I can. I don't know a whole lot about this stuff. I'm just learning it myself to this extent, and I'm really glad I am because it's really piecing a lot of things together. Like, yes, very true, Mommy Mars. Very true. I love labels though, because labels, especially these cards that I'm doing, these are helpful labels. These will help him communicate. But I know that some people have a problem calling somebody neurotypical, neurodivergent. That's just to explain the different way the brain works. It's not to label somebody in the sense of keeping them stuck in a rut, like they can't change, they can't grow. That's not what I mean by that at all. But it helps me to know what people are struggling with, and by categorizing what their individual needs are. In fact, even in schools and stuff, like when I worked for the program that I did years ago, we had to have binders on children to know exactly what their disorders were. Because if you're in a room with somebody that is violent because they are extremely OCD. And if you mess with their OCD mojo, so to speak, you move something out of the order they have it in, you could get physically hurt. That child will jump you. So you need to know, okay, Johnny has OCD and he has very violent tendencies. If you mess up his order of things, you have to have labels sometimes. It depends. Now, in my marriage is unique. We have to have labels. We both agree that we have to have labels. However, we don't believe that the label is a debilitating thing that keeps us stuck in any certain place. It's just so that we know exactly where we're coming from. So for us, labels work. Now, in a neurotypical marriage, you won't need labels. It'll just be husband and wife, and my husband's being a butthead today. That sort of thing. But for somebody that's neurodiverse, yeah, I need to know that Matthew's mind does not work like every man I've ever dated, my two other husbands I was married to. Um, it's helpful to know that, because otherwise I hold him to that standard and I get very disappointed and discouraged and angry when he doesn't just automatically do things like a typical neurotypical husband would do. So that's pretty much it. I don't go around saying, "Hey, neurodivergent husband, what do you want today?" It's not like that at all. I'm just explaining so that you understand the difference between neurotypical, neurodivergent. Yeah, because he'd say, "Hey, neurotypical wife who's really not neurotypical, because we don't know if you're actually on the spectrum or not, too." Because he would. Matthew's very sarcastic like that. And sometimes we do playfully call each other names like that. But um we don't use it in a harmful way. That's not why we use labels at all. It's just to know where we're coming from and what we're dealing with. So yeah, you shouldn't label people in a sense of, well, you're lesser than me because you're neurodivergent, you're autistic, or like calling somebody retarded. That's rude and wrong and mean and cruel. And no, you shouldn't do that. However, you can say somebody is mentally challenged, but you don't yell at somebody and say, "I don't like you. You don't get me because you're mentally challenged," or calling somebody a moron or something. That's just wrong. That's not at all what this is about. Anyway, I hope that helped somebody. So, any other comments or questions? I'll wait a second. If not, I'll head off because I'm going to go eat my veggie burger. And then I'm going to make some recipe cards because that's what I want to do with my night. I already did my Grow with Joe 15-minute workout, and that wore me out completely. I did an hour-long one the other day with 5 levels. It made it through all 5 levels with a little bit of tweaking, but not much. So I'm keeping busy. I have a hula hoop coming in the mail next Monday, I think. By next Monday. One of those hula hoop type things, not the typical hoop, but the one with the long string and the weight on it where you move your hips, and you're supposed to be able to remove one link each week or your money back or something like that. Yeah. So I'm going to be doing that. I'm incorporating that into my workout plan, and we'll be doing that too. I'll probably do a video of that too. So you can look forward to that. And probably more belly dancing videos. I've started taking up belly dancing again, and I enjoy it a lot. All right. Nobody's got any questions or comments. That's cool. I will go. Hope you all have a good night and be blessed. Shalom, everybody.